Hey everybody, I'm Ann Tucker, and this is our Spirit Means Business Facebook group. And we had a great video this week about talking about COVID-19 and how it's changing us. And I wanted to take our opportunity for our live today because things are happening so fast. And I wanted to share with you guys some things that I've learned. Especially, it started over the last year or two. I started to see this in sessions, and then now with the virus is an experience that I had working in session that has taught me about how we can effectively work with this virus as healers. So whether you're a healer or whether you enjoy being healed, either one, I think this will be hopefully of service to everybody. So the goal here is to share the information the same way that, in all of the science-based medical practices, they share what they learn and everybody grows from that and we all become better because of it. This is that same idea. I want to share what I've learned so that you can incorporate it into your practice so that we can all help each other. All right, so thank you guys for joining me and let's get started. So the first thing, I did write myself some notes because I'm a little bit nervous about sharing this because this is like full woo. So if you are not woo, if you stumbled across this on accident, I promise I won't watch your monster truck videos. Please, you can just go elsewhere. This is really meant for people who are interested in this topic, who are the healers of the world, and the people who are interested in spirituality and personal growth. That's who this is intended for. And the first thing I want to say is that this is not in any way medical advice. That if you have this virus, if you have COVID-19, please seek medical attention. That this is not intended to replace a typical medical practice, and it's not in any way meant to be medical advice. So first, let me share, and thank you for the bring on the woo. I appreciate that very much. Thanks. Okay, to tell you a little bit about what I've learned about viruses, I have in different sessions over the past couple of years encountered viruses a couple times and was really shocked and surprised by what I learned from the experience. The first thing is that they're conscious, that viruses show up as one unified consciousness. As opposed to bacteria, which show up as like a bunch of little tiny consciousnesses, like almost like a beehive, or I think of them as like the in the Toy Story when he's got the crane and there's all the little guys in there that are like speaking as one. That's what bacteria feel like. But viruses, one unified consciousness, and they're benevolent. They are there for a purpose, and they want to be interacted with the understanding that they're there for our benefit, that they're there to be benevolent. They're a feminine, the ones I've encountered so far, so this is just what I know from my own personal experiences, each of the ones I have encountered have been feminine energy. And they're there, each of the ones I've encountered so far have been there specifically to help us with behaviors, with a specific behavior that we're working on. So for example, Bars Epstein, one of the clients that I had that worked with that had Bars Epstein, that particular virus was there to help with self-criticism. And in her case, I can't say if it's in all cases, I can say in her case. And I can tell you a little bit more about that as we go. For STDs, therefore, they may be helping with behaviors around promiscuity, around lack of self-worth, not valuing or providing safe harbor for the body. They have, the other thing to know about viruses is that yes, they are benevolent, but they are not super conscious. They have a limited discernment, so they sort of moving and they don't have the ability to understand when they've helped too much, right? So a virus can run amok and not be aware that they've gone from helping to hurting. Viruses, and this is huge, viruses can be negotiated with. And this is how to work with a virus. So let's talk a little bit about what I learned specifically about COVID-19. COVID-19 appeared to me as like the best way I can describe the energy. So if I talk about like what Bars Epstein looks like, the feeling of Bars Epstein is a very mature, womanly, energy, like almost like a wise woman kind of energy. It feels very like earth or water bound, and speaks in sort of like it feels like it's almost like tribal is the wrong word. It feels like Earth Mother kind of vibe. Is what Bars Epstein feels like. And COVID-19 feels like Tinkerbell. Feels really, really different. And it's if you think about the qualities, so the way it appeared to me was personified as like an orb, but the qualities were Tinkerbell qualities. So what that means is that it's fast, right? Airborne, sassy, and powerful. So if you think about Tinkerbell, think about, her shaking her little thing and doing her wings and the whole thing. Tinkerbell has a sassy quality to her. She's got spirit, right? And she gets angry, she gets mad. She's very fairy-like, right? And the thing that is important about knowing in terms of working with COVID-19 is that this particular virus wants to be appreciated and respected. So think about even with Tinkerbell, Tinkerbell's love was not reciprocated necessarily or respected or appreciated, right? I think in the movie, I think Tinkerbell's in love with Peter Pan, and I don't think Peter Pan necessarily knows that or responds to it appropriately. So there's a lesson in that for us as well in terms of why was that the chosen way of showing it to me, that this, and I do specifically experience from the virus that it wants to be appreciated and respected. So, and that's really, there's almost a pride there that wants to, so it's not love, it's appreciation and respect is what it needs to receive. And the specific behavior that it's helping us with is the feeling of, and this is, like I said, I'm speaking only from my experience, and it's a limited experience, but I want to share it now, and then hopefully other people can add their experiences to it. But my experience is, so far, that they're helping us with a shift from an autonomous perspective to an interconnected experience. And what does that feel like, and what are the associated behaviors associated with that? So that might be, how can we affect the planet? It might be that we are, and look at that how that's impacting. Like right now, we are seeing all around us that the shutdown is causing the planet to heal really, really rapidly. So another person I know who's a trance channelist type, she just recently channeled that. One of the big things happening right now is the Earth proof showing how quickly it can heal itself. Like there's now dolphins in the Venetian canals. So you guys, I'm sure you guys have seen this online, but it's kind of amazing the way that nature is recovering with just a brief shutdown of our commercial activity. So that's interconnected in terms of how we affect the world, but also that we are connected in community, that we're not alone. And the way that each of us experiences this is going to be very specific to our journey, to what we need to receive from the virus. So for example, it's really any case that you see that that what you're doing affects others, and that might be positive or negative influences. And Shelley says, yes, I've received that too. It's asking for us to slow down and remember we are one, and to support healing of our individual. So yes, I'm sorry, the bottom part was cut off, but yes, exactly, Shelley. So that's the whole vibe of what's trying to come through here. And that specific healing as it's taking place in a person, it might be something that was being carried in their belief system. It might be something that came from a result of experience, but by shifting from the feeling of that I am a solo, and lots of us have issues from childhood with abandonment that give us that feeling that we're on our own, and that can lead to the feeling that, well, I need to look out for number one, I need to look out for me. And this is helping. How can we adjust and shift so that all of us come back into the realization how much we affect others and how much we are connected? So that might come back as the awareness that you are being supported by others when you're sick, or that you are rising to the challenge to support someone else when they're sick, right? So it can show up in both positive and negative ways, where maybe you are become aware of how you're not showing up for someone else, right? So it's, in each case, it's important to notice that it's simultaneously serving the person who is infected and everyone who is around the person who is infected. So all of it is meant to be of service. So it's serving each and every person who is touched by the virus at the same time in their own needed way. So it's of service to each of us. As a matter of fact, the situation I'm familiar with, this particular incident, it helped the patient, it helped the patient's spouse, in terms of helping with heart healing, and now it's helping me because it's causing me to step up and talk in a very open way about sort of some what I consider to be pretty far into the woo category. So it's helping all of us in our own specific ways. So what is it that we can do as healers in terms of working with this in your own practice? And I want to mention this because I'm not doing one-on-one sessions anymore. My specific guidance is I'm moving to doing group healings only. I'm doing transmitting some of these frequencies, these a series of sessions. And anyways, I'm not doing any one-on-one session. So I want to make sure that this information is shared so that if that is your calling to do one-on-one sessions, that you can use this and grow the information and help other people. How is it serving is one of the big questions that you want to ask when you start into session with someone who has or might be infected with this virus, is ask the virus, so get into dialogue with that virus and with your guides and ask, how is this serving this person? So that's the key thing you need to know. How is it serving? Then you need to be able to look, because you might be able to shift a specific experience, belief, or shifting the energy. And the goal is to create in that person the sensation of community, the sensation that they are in community, that they're not autonomous, autonomy is a wonderful thing to have, but in terms of how we are existing in the world right now, we're trying to move towards the feeling of oneness and this feeling of community. So you want to be able to negotiate, and I mean speak with the virus, and you may feel crazy when you do this, and I did the first time, but you will, if you're committed to doing it, you will be able to tune into this specific virus and their energy and use, if it helps to use the visual, I see it as a sort of an orb with Tinkerbell wings, a small golden orb. It was a golden energy, housed specifically in the head and in the chest area, and then it comes out through the nose and through the arms. And so visualize that to try to tune in and like I said, be respectful and appreciative. Super important, respectful and appreciative. And right up front, thank the virus for their service. Thank them for what they're doing for us and for the population and for this particular patient, because that's the best way to enter into negotiation, is to thank them first. And then once you open up the dialogue and you ask your guides, how is this serving this particular person, then you want to go into letting your guides do the work. Your job as the healer in this case is to just be the channel for the energy and to be the negotiator with the virus. So you want to allow your guides to come through and allow them because they will know where to go. Allow them to go in and do the specific healing, and then you will be able to stay and observe and be channeling that all the way through until you see the virus withdraw and remove. I do know for a fact that from my own personal experience, I can say when I've worked with viruses before, I've gone through this process, like specifically with Barza's team, where somebody had it and they went the next day. We did this process. They went the next day to be tested. They'd had it for years. Went the next day, was tested, and it was gone. So I do have like official proof that you can actually negotiate with viruses, and you can, and this is, I don't mean to say proof, and please don't take this outside of our healing community. I'm just trying to share with you why I have faith in this and why I think it's worth incorporating into your own practice to potentially try to be of service to others. So in any case, I hope that is of service. Like I said, I think it is amazing to see that we know that everything is conscious. We know that, that intuitively that everything is conscious, and we know that you hear rocks or crystals are conscious, and trees are conscious, and everything is made up of the elementals, and so therefore it's conscious. Of course, viruses are conscious, but the first time you actually experience it, it's kind of a mind blower. It on a logic level, but experiencing that is definitely not what you'd expect. So becoming aware of that and using that in your healing practice, and using that to try to like I said, and negotiate with the virus and to work with it. We are not trying to work against the virus. The virus is here to help us. And to take this one step, since I'm all the way out of the closet, I'll just go the full way here. So when I tune in to the tune into what's going on, so we have the virus itself, which, like I said, is not a super conscious. It's conscious but not super conscious. So it's not necessarily aware of the pattern. Or what the global effect is. It's going body to body, person, situation to situation, as agreed, right? As we've all each agreed to be on our journey, on our path, how this is of service to each of us. But this particular virus is being coordinated by a much larger angelic force. So the virus itself is not angelic, but it's being coordinated by an angelic force. And I see it specifically, there's sort of one head honcho, and then there's several others that are really holding this whole space and allowing this to unfold in the way that it's meant to. And it's really, truly meant to be of service to us. So as a healer, we really want to work with it. And the goal is, and some people may not be able to be healed because it's not in their path, right? They're meant to let it run its course, and that it may be because it is of service to the people who are working with them or who are taking care of them, right? We just don't know. We don't know what the particular person's needs are. But for some people, you can short circuit the situation by going in and negotiating with it, finding what the origin is, how is it meant to be of service, and finding an easier, less painful way of resolving that particular issue for them so that they don't have to suffer through the virus. So Julianne asked, would it be possible for healers to communicate with virus now in general and see what we can do to help the whole situation? So do you mean, would it be possible to communicate with the virus now in general, like not when it's with the patient? I find that if I try to tune into the virus, the best way for me to tune into it is to go back to where I encountered it, and then I can get information. But no, I don't find that I'm able to. It's almost like I need a place for it to be. He says, without removing the whole purpose. If you encounter it with somebody, then you could go in and have a conversation with it, and ask and say, okay, but I didn't when I was encountering that particular virus. So I looked at, like, you can get some information from the virus itself and some information from your guides. So, and I'm just thinking as you're asking that now, I'm trying to discern which was which. And I think the information that I got, like the virus itself, can tell me about itself, but not about the bigger picture. The bigger picture came from my guides. So does that make sense? So hopefully that answers your question. So if you were trying to tap into sort of the super conscious of, and like I said, they're not operating at that level. They're really operating at the individual level, like going from person to person to person, even though it is one consciousness that's inside that person. It's not as I tune into it, I don't feel like it's not like, and I know that there are like animal communicators that have tuned into, the consciousness of baboons and then been able to sort of communicate with the baboons. And maybe that's just how I'm wired, but it's not working that way for me. The way it's working for me is I have to go back to the place where I encountered it, to the place where I first met the virus, and I can then get information from it there. But the closest, the moment where it feels like communication as opposed to just information is in session when I'm in the process of negotiating with the virus, is when it actually feels most like I'm actually having a conversation. Other than that, it's hard to discern. I'm pretty sure it's coming from my guides. So hopefully that's helpful. Yeah, exactly. So Julianne says, yes, like the virus doesn't have the whole awareness. Yes. And like I said, it may just be that I am not tuned in there. I am tuning in when they're in the body, but not separate. And other than that, the information is coming from my guide. So you may be different. Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate that. So in any case, any other questions about how to work with this virus, about what it feels like, what it looks like? It's not something to be, I know that this is scary. Let's see, Nathan says, virus needs a host. They cannot live without a host. Yes, that's very true. And that would make sense why I'm only tuning into it when it's inside the host. That would make sense, yeah. So in any case, but it may be different for you, like I said, depending on how your specific connection is wired. My connection is very much like direct to I'm very much directly with my guides. And so other people, like I don't do dead people. Unless they're right in your energy, I don't see dead people. So, and other people do. So maybe it'd be interesting to see if a medium could connect to the virus, because maybe they're connecting at a different level. That would be an interesting question. So, so if anybody has anything to add to this concept, to this thread, once you go out into the world and experience this, as we see the number of cases that rise, if you have any questions, feel free to loop back around with me, and I'm happy to help. I cannot do one-on-one sessions. Like I said, it's not on my path right now. I'm being very much told that I need to be doing group healing, and I'm specifically doing a series of these 9 angelic healing frequency sessions. I'll be starting them in May, and I would love for you guys all to be part of those. But if you run into these kind of cases, just know that I'm here for advice, but not for healing. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and yes, Sheila, that you appreciate that you can feel its sassiness. So you feel it too. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, it really has that like it gets indignant, like it's like think of Tinkerbell, like how she gets kind of ticked off, and that's the feeling of this virus. So Julianne asked, is there anything we can do to prepare those who are afraid about this virus? Gosh, I think it's such a good question, and I know there's been a lot of stuff out there about the fear element, and that is huge. And I can say one thing that was interesting that came through with this was that the fear, in the case where I experienced it, the fear was instrumental. So when it was first the spouse of the person who had the virus was the one who contacted me, and I worked on the spouse as a proxy. And the first thing we did is that the spouse wanted to work on fear, because there was a lot of fear there about like what's going to happen, like is my partner going to be okay? And so so the first thing I did was went in and looked at the fear. And what was interesting is I said, okay, we're going to be focusing on specifically on fear. And where we went was not fear of the virus. Where we went was specifically fear related to opening up spiritual gifts. And that was the fear that we removed. So the fear that was about the virus was not about the virus at all, right? The virus was serving to trigger the fear about opening up the gifts. And so that was what we cleared. And once we cleared that, this person was able to then go through the next day at the hospital with their spouse and be in total equanimity, be totally calm and without any fear. Which is amazing, because the day prior they had been extremely anxious, and this person happens to be very, very aware of the power of their thoughts. And so that's part of the reason that they reached out and said, hey, I need to deal with my fear because I want to be showing up in the proper way from my partner. So anyway, so that's how which is amazing, right? That it shows up and it serves each of us. And even for me right now, like a lot of the things that show up in my dreams right now, for me personally, are about being willing to share 100%, and how much am I showing? And I tend to be a pretty open person, but when I start talking about having conversations with viruses, I am aware that I sound crazy. I'm aware that that's weird, and okay, here I am. I'm talking about viruses. So thank you for hanging with me. I appreciate it. Couple more comments. Its consciousness is mostly limited to each host. There isn't a virus which can be removed by correct support. So I'm sorry, I don't see that. Remote. Oh, and I just lost the comments. Oh, darn it. There they are. Remote kinesiology is a perfect way to assess a person's immunity levels. Yeah. But I get what you're saying, Nathan. That it's specific to each host, and that is my experience, definitely. And thank you, Shelley, for saying that it's not woo-woo at all to you. I appreciate it. I know you guys are totally on the team. All right, great. So any other questions? Like I said, if there's anything else that comes up for you, if you run into this, my experience is just limited to a few cases, virus cases over the course of the last couple of years. So it's not a broad experience, but I do feel comfortable telling you what I'm sharing because it's been a very consistent experience. It's been consistent across each one. And I had confirmable experiences. So afterwards, it's a matter, with each situation, I tend to be a person who wants to wants to make sure that I'm on the right path, that makes sure. So I look for confirmation, and in each of these I feel like I got the confirmation. So I feel good about sharing it with you, and I feel like it's of service. So hopefully it will be. Julianne, I also work with this regenerative. Oh, okay, yes, perfect. Oh, okay, so she's saying she also shares the same same modality. That's awesome. All right, thanks you guys. Rahul, you said you think we're moving into where woo-woo is the new normal as we evolve with this virus. Yes. Do you know, I think you're absolutely right. I do think that people are getting more and more open, which is fantastic, and I love to see that. So Julianne says, yeah, thank you. This is very helpful. Awesome. So, and I would love it if you guys share this with any healers that you know that are out there working with clients that can use this information. So please do share it, because I think we're going to have a whole lot more cases coming up. And like I said, it's not everybody can be healed, right? Not everybody can be, like for some people, the purpose of the point of this virus is to let it run its whole course. So know that in all instances, it's not going to be a thing where it's a panacea for everything. This is just one way to approach it. And for some people, it may be able to shorten it. It may be able to shift things. But we know that in general, like for some people, like I said, and it's not just for that individual, but it's for the experience of the people around them as well. So anyways, thanks so much for joining me, you guys. Sending you lots of love. And I will see you again. I'm still doing this thing in our Spirit Means Business group where I'm coming in every Monday. I'm posting a video every Monday with on a different topic related to our spiritual businesses, and that could be conscious businesses. And then we can have a question for you guys. We can dialogue about it during the week. And then on Fridays, like today, I'm going to come in with a Facebook Live, and we can talk about everything that came up during the week. So look for me again here on Monday on the video, and I'd love to hear from you guys and have this conversation. So thanks a lot. Couple more little comments. Letting it run its course from Sheila says, letting it run its course feels super important, and it strikes me that fear may be one of the behaviors. It could even be after. Yes, I totally agree, Sheila, and I think letting it run its course in many cases is going to be important. Camille says, I wish those with fear would be open to the calm. Yes, me too. Julianne says, hypnotherapy is a great modality for fear. Absolutely. And thank you so much, Rosie. Okay, great, you guys. I will see you next time. This will be this video will be posted in the Spirit Means Business group, but do feel free to share it however you like. Like my goal is to get this out there, let other people add what they learn to this sort of pool of knowledge we can gather and share with each other. All right, I'll see you next time.